right, today's episode, we're going to be answering a question from a dentist who has two offices that are struggling on paper. So they look good from the outside, but they're actually not profitable. This is a common problem that I see in dental, and we're going to be helping him out today. So stay tuned for this one. Welcome back to another episode of Dental Marketing Go. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the owner of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours level the playing field against the big guys out there so you can grow the way that you want, but you can't grow if you're not profitable on paper. So here's the exact question that I got. I own two dental practices that do well on paper, but are not profitable. And this is very common. I'm not sure if I need to market or cut expenses. So we did a whole episode on this, on top line versus bottom line thinking. Okay. If you just keep cutting expenses, what's going to happen? You're going to be less and less profitable because you're not going to grow. You have to grow your way out of these problems most often. Not always, but most often. I want to go from about 30 to 80 new patients per month. Tell me how. So first thing we need to address is if a practice is not profitable, you can usually grow your way out of it unless there's just like some underlining issues, like you're paying an associate like way too much money. And even if you do grow, you're still not going to be profitable. So you got to solve those kind of problems first. That's really, really important. And let me say that. And I'm not the expert at the cost cutting approach. Okay. So I'm not your guy for that. There's tons of great people out there. In fact, if you're one of those people and you're listening, comment down below so people could get help from you. But let's assume that you can grow your way out of this, that you just don't have enough revenue. You've cut expenses, and now it's time to invest in growth, and now you want to grow, right? So how are we going to do that? I'm going to give you 4 things, okay? And these are really, really important. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to map out your area. And what do I mean by that? This particular office was in the Midwest, and I happen to know that area very well. See, out in California, there's like huge swaths of really wealthy areas, and they're like kind of in squares. And then there's huge areas of not so great areas, right? And you can literally see it on a map. You can go in and draw squares or circles around it, and you can go target nice areas or middle class areas or even lower income areas if you have a Medicaid office or something like that. In some of these Midwest areas, you have like big plots of land, and you have people who are very wealthy, and you have people who are middle class, and then you have people who are very poor, and they're all kind of mixed in together. It's very similar to like the way New York is set up. The Midwest is more spread out, and New York's more built vertically, where you have literally billionaires living on top of people who are homeless, and they may all be looking for a dentist, right? So there's different ways and different strategies to approach that. But before you even go and solve that, you need to see where your patients are coming from historically and the ones that you're having success with. So that's the first thing. Map out your area to figure that out. If you need those maps, just let me know. We do those for free and happy to help you with those. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to train your staff if you're having this kind of problem. What do I mean by that? Well, this particular office, they don't do a lot of marketing. So when you don't do marketing, that means most of the patients that are coming into your practice are super high trust. Why? Because someone referred them there. If I tell my wife, hey, you should go to this dental office, she's going to go and she's probably going to buy treatment right away. And there's not a lot of friction for her coming in the office. So when you go to marketing, though, marketing are low trust patients. These aren't patients that just trust you right away. Doctors say, I want more quality patients. Usually what they mean is, I want people who trust me right away. Marketing doesn't produce that. They're doing maybe 2 to 3 minutes of Google searches, and then they're coming into your office. And so you have to earn their trust. And there's a process to doing that. And there's a lot of training involved with doing that. And most people don't understand that. It's kind of like this. Let's say that you own a car factory and you make gas-powered cars. And then you say, you know what, now we want to make battery cars. Well, you're still making a car, but the process is much different. You need different training, different equipment, a different approach. And marketing is very similar to that for dental offices that have never marketed before. If you're only patient referrals, you need to retrain your whole team. And so this is something that we do, and I have all the training already documented. So if you're this kind of office and you're like, well, I want some of that training, we'll give it to you for free. Just comment down below. Let me know. I'll probably give you the phone training first, and then we'll do some of the treatment presentation training. But that's really, really important that you have that in place. So that's number 2. Number 3, you got to have a budget. Unfortunately, this is not free. I wish it was. I wish I could do it for free, but that's not the way the world works. It costs money. You're going to have to invest in this, and you're going to have to stick with it for a little bit of time. Now, you shouldn't do it for years without growth, but a couple months. You got to give it a couple months because it's going to take time to train your team. It's going to take time to get those patients in. It's going to take time to work out the kinks and weeding out some of the patients that you don't want. That takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight. But if you're willing to invest some money and some time, you can do it. We've done it over and over and over again. I've literally seen hundreds of offices do this. You can do it. And here's the last thing, probably most important. Going from 30 to 80 new patients is hard. That's more than doubling. Anytime that you're more than doubling your new patients, it's going to be really, really painful. So I never recommend that people do this unless they absolutely have to. What I recommend is like a stair-step approach. And this allows you to actually invest less money and train your team and have predictable growth that isn't crazy. If you go from 30 to 80 new patients in a month, more than likely you're going to break a lot of your practice, and you're going to stress out yourself, your team, your systems. Things are going to fall apart. Even if you go from 30 to 45, you're still going to have some stress on there, but it's going to be more manageable. So you want to make sure that you're taking steps that make sense and not jumping all the way in. So if that's you, if you would like to grow like that, if these things sound like you, comment down below. We'd love to help you. And again, happy to give you those maps. That's the first step that you're going to want to take. And lastly, what would you recommend? If you had a practice ask you this exact question, what would you recommend to them? How would you approach this problem? I don't have all the answers, so I would love to hear from everybody else. How would you solve this problem? Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.